Hello, my name is Travis Moorhead, partners with Crypto Consultants. We're going to be teaching you about Bitcoin today. Now, one thing to keep in mind is we are not financial planners or advisors. We are just purely educators that teach people about what we do and allow you to take part in this revolution that is taking place. So without further ado, let's begin the presentation.
I own Bitcoin in my hedge fund. I own Bitcoin in my fund. I own Bitcoin in my private account. It is a huge deal. It's a huge, huge, huge deal. Because what you're talking about right now is for the next 3 to 5 years, an unbelievably better store of value. It is gold 2.0.
I think this is a currency that's really going to work eventually.
Well, I think it is working, and there will be other currencies like it that may be even better. But in the meantime, there's a big industry around Bitcoin, and people have made fortunes out of Bitcoin.
Bitcoin, there is no Bitcoin company, there is no Bitcoin building, there's not even a Bitcoin server anywhere that you could shut down. It is completely distributed. That's what's unique about Bitcoin. It is, for the first time, a way for the two of us to exchange value online without a third-party intermediary. Until the invention of Bitcoin, for you and me to exchange money online, we had to employ a third party, like PayPal, like Visa, like MasterCard, right? And we live in the 21st century. If we want to have a video call to China, we can do that for free. But to send a couple $100, which is essentially just ones and zeros being moved around, costs 5% plus takes over a day.
Bitcoin is exciting because it shows how cheap it can be. Bitcoin is better than currency in that you don't have to be physically in the same place, and of course for large transactions currency can get pretty inconvenient.
You'll see Bitcoin trading at 1,000, 2,000, 5,000, 10,000. Rick Falkvinia does an excellent analysis. He predicts that Bitcoin will capture between 1 and 10% of the global Forex market, which implies a price of between $100,000 to $1 million per Bitcoin. Most of the people who are on the sidelines not buying Bitcoin today will start to buy Bitcoin when it gets over 1,000, and then a greater percentage of people will definitely plow into Bitcoin when it starts to get over 10,000.
It's still predicting Bitcoin $10,000 per Bitcoin in 3 years.
A lot of people are just seeing the charts and thinking, how high will it go? What I'm doing is counting backwards. I mean, this is a transactional currency, and it is a store of value. As such, it is a product and a service competing on a very tangible market for stores of value and for transactional currencies. So what is the size of that market?
Right. And this is important.
And how big a market share can Bitcoin realistically take within a foreseeable time frame? When you ask that question, then you come up with a market cap of Bitcoin total, and then you divide that by the number of Bitcoin in circulation by your estimated time, and seeing how Chinese are buying Bitcoin like crazy. I actually had to adjust this number upwards, but then you come up with a number of about $2 to $5 million per Bitcoin.
Is Bitcoin the currency of the future, or is it the payment system they're developing?
Bingo! It's the payment system. It's the blockchain encryption, and they're interesting things. I think Bitcoin, or the really blockchain encryption that's behind it, has a greater ability to bring more of the world's population out of poverty than anything we've seen.
If you're new to Bitcoin, take your time to go out there and Google it and learn about it. It truly is one of the most important inventions in the history of humankind, and certainly the most important invention since the internet. Go out there, make a Bitcoin wallet, get involved, start using it, learn about all the positive ways in which this is going to improve the lives of every single person on the planet. Get involved, do it today. It's going to help everybody. Thank you.
Now, throughout this presentation, you're likely going to have questions. They're going to come up. So I encourage you to pause this presentation and grab a piece of paper and a pen, and as they come up, write down these questions. So a lot of them will likely be answered throughout the presentation, but whatever isn't, please reach out to whoever shared this video with you and let them answer those questions. We want to make sure you fully understand this technology, so at the end of this presentation, you really get a grasp of what this technology is capable of and what it's going to do. First thing we're going to do is talk about change. So all of these things that I'm going to be talking about in this slide are all things that have changed in the last 10 years. So first, BlackBerries. Most of us had BlackBerries when they came out. They were like the first smartphone. And what happened with BlackBerry? They are still around, but what they didn't do is they didn't upgrade and keep up with Android and iPhones. In that, they left their keys on the screen or on the device. So you physically had buttons, and they said, no, everybody wants this. This is the way. And what happened? They got left behind. Again, iPhone and Android now dominate that market. We have Blockbuster. Blockbuster used to be on every corner, and Blockbuster slowly has been disappearing. I believe there's 2 Blockbusters left. There's one in Canada and one in Alaska, both places with bad internet signal, because now we have Redbox and Netflix. That'll anybody in the world to be able to stream movies and videos. Netflix even gave Blockbuster an opportunity to buy them out very early on, and Blockbuster turned it down because it was too risky of an investment. Now, you know, a lot of us don't like change. We're afraid of change. But the reality is change is happening all around us, and if we don't pay attention to it, we get left behind. Compactist audio. Almost everyone carried CDs in their car at one point. Some people still do a little bit, but not to the level at which they used to. I used to have whole big binders full of CDs. I don't do that anymore. I use things like Pandora, Spotify, and streaming services, or I have MP3s stored on my cell phone that I listen to on occasion. Holiday Inn. Holiday Inn, a huge hotel chain, right? But what's bigger than them now? Airbnb. Airbnb is now the largest hotel chain in the world. If you are unfamiliar with them, I encourage you to Google them. They're amazing. They allow people like us to be able to rent out a room in our house, a couch, or maybe even an extra house that we have in another location to people that want to stay somewhere. And so it actually lowers the expense for the people that are traveling, while also bringing in a little bit of culture and providing an income source for just individual people like us. Yahoo. Do we Yahoo things? No. What do? We Google things. And then my last example, taxis. Taxis are slowly being phased out with things like Uber, which operates a lot like Airbnb. You can use the app, you need a taxi or you need a ride somewhere, you use the Uber app, somebody that's in the neighborhood or around your area can come pick you up, take you to where you need to go. It ends up providing a huge service that's quicker than a taxi service and almost always cheaper. I've never seen an Uber ride be more expensive than a taxi. Now, one thing as we go through this is with Uber, Uber is a centralized company. So what this technology has the capability of doing is taking a centralized company, multi-billion-dollar company like Uber, and decentralizing it, automating all of the little intricacies of what happens at the top, and allow those drivers to actually receive more money when they're collecting their fare, and lowering the expense for the people that are paying for the fare. We don't need the middleman that is Uber right now. This technology is going to make Uber extinct, just like Uber did to taxi. What is Bitcoin? So we're going to watch this quick little video. It's going to kind of give you a nice visual as well as an explanation. And then after the video, we're going to cover some of the high points. So that way we can really make sure that all of the points are driven home.
What if there's a technological advancement so powerful that it transforms the very basic pillars of our society? A technology which fundamentally influences the way that our economy, governance systems, and businesses function, and could change our conceptual understanding of trade, ownership, and trust. This technology already exists, and it's called cryptocurrency. People often think of Bitcoin as only virtual money or a transaction system. But if you look closer, you'll see that the monetary aspect is just the tip of the iceberg. That's because Bitcoin is a groundbreaking internet technology for which money is merely one of the possible applications. Money exists to facilitate trade. Through the centuries, trade has become incredibly complex. Everyone trades with everyone worldwide. Trade is recorded in bookkeeping, and this information is often isolated and closed to the public. For this reason, we use third parties and middlemen we trust to facilitate and approve our transactions. Think of governments, banks, accountants, notaries, and the paper money in your wallet. We call these trusted third parties. This brings us to the essence of Bitcoin. Bitcoin software enables a network of computers to maintain a collective bookkeeping via the internet. This bookkeeping is neither closed nor in control of one party. Rather, it is public and available in one digital ledger which is fully distributed across the network. We call this the blockchain. In the blockchain, all transactions are logged, including information on the time, date, participants, and amount of every single transaction. Each node in the network owns a full copy of the blockchain. On the basis of complicated, state-of-the-art mathematical principles, the transactions are verified by the so-called Bitcoin miners, who maintain the ledger. The mathematical principles also ensure that these nodes automatically and continuously agree about the current state of the ledger and every transaction in it. If anyone attempts to corrupt a transaction, the nodes will not arrive at a consensus, and hence will refuse to incorporate the transaction in the blockchain. So every transaction is public, and thousands of nodes unanimously agree that a transaction has occurred on date X at time Y. It's almost like there's a notary present at every transaction. This way, everyone has access to a shared single source of truth. This is why we can always trust the blockchain. The ledger doesn't care whether a Bitcoin represents a certain amount of euros or dollars, or anything else of value, or property for that matter. Users can decide for themselves what a unit of Bitcoin represents. A Bitcoin is divisible in 100 million units, and each unit is both individually identifiable and programmable. This means that users can assign properties to each unit. Users can program a unit to represent a eurocent, or a share in a company, a kilowatt-hour of energy, or a digital certificate of ownership. Because of this, Bitcoin is much more than simply money and payments. A Bitcoin can represent many kinds of property: 1,000 barrels of oil, award credits, or a vote during elections, for example. Moreover, Bitcoin allows us to make our currency smarter and to automize our cash and money flows. Imagine a healthcare allowance in dollars or euros that can only be used to pay for healthcare at certified parties. In this case, whether someone actually follows the rules is no longer verified in the bureaucratic process afterwards. You simply program these rules into the money. Ergo, compliancy up front. The unit can even be programmed in such a way that it will automatically return to the provider if the receiver doesn't use it after a certain amount of time. This way, the provider can ensure that allowances are not hoarded. A company can control its spending in the same way, by programming budgets for salaries, machinery, materials, and maintenance so that the respective money is specified and cannot be spent on other things. Automizing such matters leads to a considerable decrease in bureaucracy, which saves accountants, controllers, and the organization in general an incredible amount of time. The programmable open character of Bitcoin allows us to completely rebuild and innovate our financial sector and our administrative processes, make them more efficient and transparent, and significantly decrease bureaucracy. But there's more. In an Internet of Things, our economy will be dealing with machines that actively participate in the economic traffic. In fact, they're already here. Think of a vending machine, or drones delivering packages. These machines are unfamiliar with the concept of trust, but Bitcoin is not. Because of Bitcoin, the drone can be 100% certain that it will deliver the package to the right recipient and know for sure that it's been paid for. And we can program the vending machine in such a way that it will automatically keep track of its supplies, order new supplies from the supplier, and pay for them automatically. Of course, you'll understand that this is only the beginning. Internet technology is disruptive and breaks the status quo. It opens markets and breaks the positions of middlemen all the time. Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies have caused a paradigm shift. It's time to explore this new technology constructively and critically, and openly discuss potential applications.
Okay, let's recap. So, Bitcoin itself is a digital currency. Its use case, the blockchain technology underneath Bitcoin, can be used for all types of things. It is decentralized, which means it's not controlled by governments, institutions, businesses. No one controls Bitcoin, which is the beauty. Governments have been manipulating money since the beginning of currency. This is no longer the case with Bitcoin and its other cryptocurrencies. Bitcoin can be sent to anyone all over the world without anybody in between. No banks, no intermediaries, no third parties. We don't need notaries. There's so many people that will be disappearing from our food chain that are currently dominate the market. It's safe, it's fast, it's anonymous. There's over 100 banks, so banks have actually come out to say that Bitcoin is safer, faster, and more secure than any system they have ever used to transfer money, and they are using the technology now. Anyone can set up a Bitcoin account, so many people don't think about bank accounts that are in the US. If you're in the US, you can go to any corner and you can set up a bank account. But in most of the world, third world countries and even countries that aren't necessarily third world, but just don't have the same income and money available, don't have the ability to add bank accounts or have bank accounts. But there's actually more cell phones out there, cell phone services, than there are bank accounts. So this instantly allows all these other people in these countries to have a bank account for the first time, a bank account in their phone. They don't need to go to a building or a facility or go somewhere to operate and use a bank. Anybody can now have a bank account in their pocket, a Bitcoin account. There's low fees, there's no chargebacks, there's no borders. The other day I went to a SunTrust bank. I had a SunTrust check. I didn't have a SunTrust account, but it was a cashier's check for SunTrust. I brought it to the bank and I wanted to cash it. They charged me $7 to cash that check. Now for less than $7, I could send Bitcoin from one side of the planet here in the United States to the other side of the planet, India, Asia, anywhere in the world for less than that $7 transaction fee, and they would get it instantly. They wouldn't require a check. They wouldn't have to go to a bank. They would just get their money right on their phone in their pocket. There's no chargeback, so a big thing for businesses. When you use a credit card in a business, and then let's say I used it somewhere, and then I called up to my credit card company and said, you know what, I didn't make that purchase. They're trying to steal from me. That fund could be held up almost indefinitely for a business, and that's not good for business, especially small businesses that really need that money. No borders, so you can actually send this across borders without having any bank charging fees or governments trying to take your money. Right now in Venezuela and Zimbabwe, this is happening, where if you try to send money outside of that country, or into that country for that matter, so if you have family out inside of Venezuela and you try to send them money, their governments and banks will take 50% of that transaction right off the top. So that person is not receiving that full amount. Bitcoin allows for you to go around that. Bitcoin is being used in Venezuela as a store of value left and right. So their currency is tanking and dropping in value. And so more and more people are adding Bitcoin and grabbing Bitcoin because it's actually more secure and stable than what their national currency is. This technology, because of this, is actually bringing these third world countries out of poverty and up to the middle class. So this is the great equalizer, this technology. Blockchain has the potential to disrupt every major industry. I'll just give you one example at this point. So let's take Civic, for example. Civic is an identity theft coin. So how it would work is I would update all of my information, my social security number, my passport, my address, all of my information onto Civic's blockchain. It's a secure, encrypted foundation that can't be hacked or modified or anything. And then so in the future, when I go to someone else and I need to verify who I am, I will use this Civic coin in order to verify who I am without giving them any of my personal information. It has the potential to disrupt and end identity theft. And that's just one of the potential uses. This can show up in every major industry. If you think about your own industry, I'm sure you can think of ways that we could cut out middlemen and replace them with this technology, especially as we go forward with this presentation. Where can I spend Bitcoin? So this is just a small snippet. I've actually bought my wedding ring at Overstock.com. I paid for multiple plane tickets in Hawaii with Expedia as well as Cheap Air. I've paid for hotels. I've paid for rental cars. I've used this several times. You can even buy anything you want off of Amazon at this point with a company called Purse.io. You go to that website, you upload what you want from Amazon, and you get whatever you want off Amazon for 15% off when you pay in Bitcoin. Japan has actually legalized Bitcoin as a form of currency. So they're actually encouraging the businesses in their own country to actually take on Bitcoin as a form of payment. This is having so much businesses joining every single day because people now are starting to recognize this as a currency and more effective and efficient than what they're currently using. In fact, Japan has come out to say that they're actually going to create their own currency in addition to having Bitcoin that will replace all of their paper currency completely by 2020. They're getting rid of their stuff that we've been using for thousands of years and recognize this technology. So we need to stay on top of this and watch it, or we will get left behind in the United States. All of these tech companies or banks are all using the technology in some way. So MasterCard recently said that they're using the blockchain technology under their transactions for every transaction. They're no longer using their old system because the system, again, is safer, more secure, and faster than what they've been using. We have companies like JP Morgan. The CEO of JP Morgan, Jamie Dimon, came out and said, Bitcoin's a fraud. What happened the very next day? They were the largest purchaser of Bitcoin. These large banks and institutions and investment firms are actually manipulating the market when they say Bitcoin's a fraud or Bitcoin's not going to work. And then the largest purchaser of them the next day or the largest purchaser of Bitcoin the next day is these institutions. We have Goldman Sachs setting up an exchange. We have banks using this technology. It's all around us. We're just the last, as individuals, we don't see it as quickly as these large conglomerates. Coinbase. So in the United States, every country has their own little system. Coinbase is in a lot of countries. This is the easiest way to purchase Bitcoin with your US dollar or national currency, and the easiest way to cash out your Bitcoin for your US dollar. So it goes back and forth. It's two-way. There's a few other ways as well, but this is the most mainstream way. They're adding thousands of users a day, hundreds of thousands. Ledger. So this is the most secure way to store your Bitcoin. You'll find that there's multiple different wallets, and Coinbase has its own wallet. This is by far the most secure way to store your Bitcoin. This is kind of like a USB drive, and it has little buttons on the top up here that you can't quite see in this picture. And that allows you to put in a code manually with a physical, your physical hands on the outside. So if you had this connected to your computer, it would keep somebody from the outside to be able to hack in and get into your device and steal your coins. One thing I like to point out here is, like, if you have, let's say you had a $500 or $100 bill in your pocket. You reach into your pocket, it falls out of your pocket, you've lost that $100 bill forever. With this, let's say you got this one wet, you got this thing destroyed in some way, or you lost it. What you do is you store a seed key phrase when you set this up, where you keep that in a safe and maybe a safety deposit box. You can keep it wherever you'd like, just make sure you keep it somewhere safe. And if something happens to this device, you can restore this account, so you don't lose your money. It allows you to back up your money in multiple ways and find ways that you can keep it a lot safer. All right, so now we're going to talk about the market and what it's been doing. It's been a crazy ride. So this is CoinMarketCap. I'm actually going to jump to one up here. So this is CoinMarketCap.com. This is like the Wall Street Journal of cryptocurrencies. If we look up here at the top, there's over 1,300 cryptocurrencies. The market, there's 7,000 different markets that are exchanges that are operating in this. There's over almost $300 billion in volume inside this in US dollars. That's how much money is in this industry. And if we look here, this was just made a couple months, 3 weeks ago, and we got 200 billion. So just in a matter of time, it's gone up $100 billion. 24-hour volumes, 21 billion. Again, let's look at the other chart. So this was 2 weeks ago, 2 or 3 weeks ago, $5 billion. That was the daily transaction volume. So this is gaining steam in an incredible way. Bitcoin does dominate that market, so you can be safe to say that Bitcoin is probably one of the safest holds as far as these coins go. Most of these coins are frauds. A lot of these coins have great ideas, but a lot of them aren't going to make it, frankly. We have Bitcoin, again, dominates the market, $163 billion market cap. Again, 2 or 3 weeks ago, 120. The price, 9,805. That's how much one Bitcoin is worth. 7,141. Now remember, at this point, when you see this dollar figure, remember one Bitcoin can be divided up to 100 million times. So just keep that in mind. Circulating supply. So there's over 16 million coins currently in supply. If you remember from the video, there will never be more than 21 million. So these are actually uncovered or found or mined, so they say, in a process of verifying transactions. We'll talk about that in a little bit, but this is the current supply. It'll never be more than 21 million. So it's deflationary versus inflationary. If we look at our US dollar, 50 years ago, we could buy a pack of gum for 5 cents. Now, 50 years later, it's, $1.20, $1.50. Our US dollar value is going down over time because we keep printing so much of it. Where Bitcoin will be doing the opposite, because there's not more that will be printed, the value will actually increase the more people are participating in this economy. Ethereum. Ethereum is a coin that came out about 1.5 years ago. And basically what it allows for is contracts or applications to be built on the blockchain. So Bitcoin has a store of data, so you're basically sending data from one place to another. Ethereum allows whole applications to be built on top. So that coin like Civic will operate on top of Ethereum's platform. This will allow for so many types of transactions. If we look at real estate, for example, over time, all of the real estate will be on the blockchain. So this will replace title companies because we will no longer need somebody to research something, because it will be open, secure, stored, can't be modified or messed with on the blockchain. We can replace mortgage companies over time. There's an application that will allow people to, and it's already exists, will allow people to pool their money together to loan it out to someone who wants to buy a house or buy something big. And then the interest that's paid out goes to these people that pulled their money instead of to a bank. And this is just a couple of the use cases for this technology. Of course, I could go on and on and on. but this video would get longer. Bitcoin Cash and Bitcoin Gold, they're both actually forks of Bitcoin. I can describe what that would be, but it's a little bit more than what this conversation allows for. So we're going to skip those for now, but feel free to ask the person that sent this video to you, and I'm sure they'll be able to give you an answer, and if they can't, they'll get an answer for you. Ripple is the coin that the banks are using. So I said earlier in the video, over 100 banks are using this technology. This is the coin they're doing that with. So you can see it's in the top 4 right now as far as market value. Now you might see 24 cents here, like, oh man, this thing's going to be going crazy. We need to get in now. Look at the supply. So there's a lot of coins in supply. So that kind of determines what the price is based on how many coins are in existence. Now, Ripple is a temporary coin. The reality is banks are trying to stay relevant and use this technology because it is more efficient. But over time, people are going to realize, well, why are we using the banks? We can just skip them and go around them. And that's exactly what's going to happen, and this coin will disappear and go away. Dash. So Dash is another transactional currency. It's a little bit more centralized, so to say. One of the cool things with Dash is I was on an airplane recently, and because they're more centralized, they have a way to advertise. So I was on the plane, and a Dash advertisement came up, and that was in October. So it just happened this year. Litecoin's like the little brother to Bitcoin. A lot of the updates that happen to Litecoin happen to Bitcoin first, or other way around. The updates that happen to Bitcoin usually happen to Litecoin first. And there's a thing called atomic swaps. So some people look at Bitcoin and say, well, there's higher transactional fees, like it's just not practical to spend for a cup of coffee, it's a little bit slower. Well, if we look at Litecoin, they've created what's called atomic swaps. So atomic swaps will allow you to, in the future, remember, we're at like the DOS stage right now. We're very early adoption. This is like DOS where you had to write out code and able to use your computer, where the Windows and the Apple of the future, it hasn't arrived yet. But Litecoin and Bitcoin will be able to swap between each other. They've done what's called lightning swaps or atomic swaps, where you can literally swap from one coin to the other without any transaction fees. Now, Litecoin is quicker than Bitcoin, and its fees are lower to use. So you'll be swapping from Bitcoin to Litecoin, paying with Litecoin, and but your store of value, the long-term hold, is Bitcoin. It's like gold because it's been unhacked now for over 7 years since it's existed. So it is the most secure, has the most people validating the network. It is the safest coin by far. And one thing I like to point out right now is Bitcoin has over 200 documented attacks by governments, and every single one of those attacks Bitcoin has gone around, has not been hacked. The governments of the world cannot stop this. The only way to stop Bitcoin would be to shut down the internet. And even with that being said, there's actually a group of people that have launched satellites into space and teach people how to access the Bitcoin network with a satellite dish and a USB drive. So it is not going anywhere, and it cannot be stopped. IOTA is pretty cool. It's actually come up with a way to be able to send transactions without any fees at all. It's pretty neat and may grow in the future. It's already growing quite a bit. Putting the world's money into perspective. So this was taken June of this year. So June 17. And if we zoom in here, Bitcoin was a $41 billion market. As we just saw, it's 167 now. The 118 that I did November 5th is already outdated. It's 167, so that's a ridiculous amount of gains and market increase. All of cryptocurrencies was a $100 billion market. It was 200 billion November 5th, and now it's a $300 billion market. Now this is over a short period of time. So this thing's just going to grow faster and faster. Later we're going to show you a graph of Bitcoin and what it looks like as far as the chart and it gaining value. And it's very interesting to see. And you'll see it several times now. The daily transactional volume of Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies, really all of currencies together, are actually higher than Apple and Amazon's daily transactions. So that's huge. Now let's look over here. All of money is an $83.6 trillion market. That's all of money. And if we look at that and think, wow, okay, so if Bitcoin grasped just 5% of that market, one Bitcoin will be worth over $1 million. It's actually around $2 million. But that's just, we're early on. Some people say, oh man, I should have bought it $200. I should have bought it $1,000. The reality is it's still really, really early. Don't allow that number to keep you from looking at this stuff because it's going to continue to grow. If anything, it was actually more risky of an investment when it was at $200. At this point, it's grown so much and so many people are using the technology, it's not going anywhere. This is a slide that was created in April, the original slide. So you see global real estate was up 5%, 10% with gold, stock up 11%, global stock up 18%, Bitcoin was up 181% in April. This is already outdated. It's actually up 900 and something %. So it's just growing and growing and growing at a rapid rate, and no other investment can keep up. Visualization of the future. So prior to 10,000 years ago, we had a barter system. I would trade grain for maybe processed bread, or maybe a meat, so grain for meat. But if over time we realized, well, man, what if Johnny over here doesn't have what I want, but he has what I want, or I have what he wants, and this guy over here, I really want what that guy has, but I don't have something that he wants. What we did is we started using gold as a way to transact trades between multiple people without having to do that direct barter. So over 10,000 years, money has fundamentally not changed. It stayed very, very consistent. In the 70s, we had our US dollar no longer was backed by gold. So it's just a paper currency. It only has value because we all agree on it. Much like cryptocurrency and Bitcoin. They're actually the same in that manner. Although cryptocurrency is way more secure, safer, can't be manipulated. Somebody could hack a bank very easily compared to cryptocurrency. But again, fundamentally this hasn't changed. We've had credit cards, debit cards be added, but fundamentally it's still exactly the same. But what has changed? We went from horse and buggies to cars and airplanes. We went from scribing on wood and pieces of paper to computers, and even me talking into a little microphone here that communicates through a speaker to you across internet waves that gives you this full presentation. Technology has changed rapidly, but money has not, until now. So cryptocurrency started in 2009. There were other currencies that were, digital currencies that tried to launch, but none of them were secure and decentralized in this nature. The reason why it's so powerful and the reason why it's growing the way it is because it's decentralized. We don't need a third party. You can see here, so this is part of one of the graphs, and you'll see more graphs. This is what Bitcoin is doing. It is growing in this rate. This mirrors what Bitcoin looks like, and it's going to continue to rise. We don't know when this will happen, but over the next 50 years, I would say that all of paper money in the whole planet is going to disappear, and cryptocurrencies and digital currencies will completely replace them. This is just a fact. This is happening. As we go into the digital age and we do more stuff with computers and electronics, there's no way that paper money is going to keep up. It's already not kind of keeping up. So Bitcoin is about 1% of the population knows what Bitcoin is. If we look at like the .com boom, when early investors, they consider early investors people that invested at about 2.5%, when 2.5% of the population knew and was investing. We're around 1% right now. So we're like pre-early investors. We're the early investors. So anybody who gets in right now, buys a Bitcoin, holds a Bitcoin, doesn't do anything else, you're going to make some money. You're going to make a lot of money. All right, ignore that slide. All right, how to get involved. So let me tell you a little bit about my story. So back in January, I had a friend who invested about $10,000 in Bitcoin. He started to trade. So you can actually trade between these different cryptocurrencies. There's exchanges that are open that allow you to put your money on it and allow you to exchange. So he went from $10,000 to $700,000 in 4 months. In April, he had 700 grand. That's when I started paying attention. I was like, oh my gosh, I need to look at this. And so I started investing my own $10,000. I want to do what you're doing. Show me how to do this. And he showed me how to get on the exchanges, how to download a wallet, some of the things that I'm going to be teaching people and have been teaching people, so I can pass it on. Now, one thing that I learned though in all of that is that trading's risky. I didn't know anything about trading. I didn't have any skill in that. Never traded before. In fact, I've never been a gambler ever. I've been to Vegas. I was in Vegas for a couple of years ago for a week. I literally gambled $10 and that was it. And I didn't enjoy the experience. I'm not a gambler. But when you look at the risk versus the reward and understand this technology, you'll want to get involved as well. So, this isn't going to apply for everyone, but for me, about 7 or 8 years ago, I got really involved in activism. I protested against this, I marched against that, and what I quickly realized is the more I'm fighting against something, the more I'm raising awareness about it and almost building that or growing that conflict. If you're against something, you're creating more of that which you're fighting against. So then I began creating things in the world that I wanted to see. So instead of fighting the old system, let me create what's new. Let me create the what I want to see in the world. And so I created a network of community gardens in our local town. I created a food policy council for our local government, Pasco County. And I'm a member of Florida's Food Policy Council, which was formed after that. And so all of these things are all things that I want to see in the community by helping food access to people who need it, finding ways to keep our food more local, creating a more local, secure food system in the event of emergencies. I worked on a program called Cops Against Racing on Streets, where we connected high school kids with car shows and then educated them on places and things that they could do that were alternatives to racing on the street, like autocross and the actual drag strip versus racing on the street. And that's just a small glimpse of it. I've also created a healing and retreat center, so I've done a lot in the community. And one thing that I was always stuck with is that I really saw was a problem was money in politics. The money in politics and the lobbyists throwing money at these politicians keeps a lot of the people's voice from being heard. So this potential here, this technology, has a potential to separate money from state, get money out of the government. Government's been manipulating money forever, and it's the cause of a lot of our issues and people not being fully heard. So if we can get money back to the people and take money away from the governments, I feel that we'll bring power to the people. So that's why I'm sharing this video with you. This is why I partnered with my friend Corey to create Crypto Consultants, so that I could share this with people and help bring awareness about it and create the change I want to see in the world. Now let's get back into trading. So trading can be dangerous. I myself, it's early on. You could probably trade. You're going to make some money. The reality is with trading, if I would have bought Bitcoin and held it instead of trading, I actually would have returned a larger return than trading. And the amount of time I spent reading charts, reading news, learning about the technology, it's so much time wasted that I could have used doing other things. I could have used creating this Crypto Consultants even sooner. Granted, I wouldn't have learned the things that I learned that has me in this position that allows me to be able to educate people from this space. I do consider myself an expert in this after spending the amount of time that I have reading and learning about the technology and the different coins. Now, these are just charts. These are charts, Bollinger Bands, we have the cup and handle. These are all charts that the stock market and people that are investors know how to read. We have moving averages, we have Fibonacci retraces. These are all things that you need to know if you're going to trade. I don't necessarily recommend it based on my own testimonial that I just shared. But if you want to trade, you really need to start learning how to read the charts, how to understand them before you put a lot of money in, or granted, you're going to lose. This is the emotional cycle. So every investment cycle has this emotional cycle. We're actually in right now with Bitcoin. Bitcoin hit $11,000. It's going down a little bit. It will come back up, but it's just going through its cycle. It's actually healthy for it to go through this cycle. But if we look at this, we get media attention. This is really where it starts going up. So you see a little bit of media attention, you get some excitement. We're all going to the moon, we're all getting Lamborghinis, we're all retiring early, everything's going to be great, and you're going up, and then what happens? It starts coming back down. And so people with emotion have a hard time with this. So it comes down, there's what's called a bull trap, so smart investors are getting out up here, and if they don't get out up there, then they're getting out over here. And then it's going to go all the way down and start the whole cycle over again. Now, it doesn't always go down to where it started at. With Bitcoin, for example, it goes down usually about 50% or higher and then goes back up to all new highs. So that's about where the cycle goes. But what happens here is I have a friend who doesn't have check with his emotions, and I could have easily been caught in this as well, but he was chasing green candles. He was chasing this thing up and buying all the way up, and then it started going down and dropping, and he got scared and would start selling. So he's actually losing money in this market, even though it's gone up so much. So it's very important that if you're going to trade, you have check of these emotions. It is not safe or necessarily advised to do that. I do still trade a little bit, but what I'm also doing is finding ways to diversify so that I can increase the number of Bitcoin I have. I mean, the whole name of this game is to increase the number of Bitcoin you have. You could hold Bitcoin and it's going to go up, and let's look at that slide. So this is Bitcoin's slide. So this is the chart that I was talking about where Bitcoin just keeps going up. If we look right here, October 3rd of 17, we got Bitcoin at $4,500. It's above 9,000 right now, so above my computer screen up here, above yours. And it's going up like crazy. This is just continues to go. But you can see that these does have these emotional cycles, these little retraces, not even 50%. So right now it's actually in one of these cycles right now, and it's close to a good time to buy. You kind of want to watch it and maybe speak with me or the person that sent you this video to kind of get some advice on when to buy if you're going to buy and just hold Bitcoin. Now again, the name of the game with trading or any of the two opportunities I'm going to share with you next are all about increasing the number of Bitcoin you have. We can hold one Bitcoin, let's say it's the golden egg, or we can buy the goose or get the goose that lays the golden egg. And that's what we're going to be teaching you next and what we're doing. Now, if you're going to do nothing else, buy a Bitcoin. Buy a Bitcoin and hold it. If that feels like the safest or the right thing for you, then you should absolutely do that. But for me, for my friends, a lot of us, we're looking to increase the number of Bitcoin we have while it's low, so that when it goes up, we all become very wealthy. We're able to get to the freedom that most of us have dreamed about, where we no longer have to go work for someone else to earn an income. We can actually pursue our passions. For me, I'm going to pursue more things in the community, and it's going to empower me to be able to help people and help more people, which personally speaks to me. All right, so what do all of these companies have in common? All of these companies have an automated trading bot that trades in the stock market or Forex trading. Forex trading is currencies. So these companies have been around for 10 years now. They're preloaded with all the algorithms and all the trading that's been done for the past 100 years, and they have zero emotion. So what that allows for is the perfect trader. And so these companies are the most profitable companies and bringing in the most of any company that's currently out there in the stock market. Now, granted, they're trading other people's money, so there's ways to invest with these companies where you get a small return and they're taking a big portion of that. But it's the safest way to get into trading without the risk of getting it caught in that emotion or not knowing the charts. So this is definitely something I recommend. And one in particular I recommend because it's the only one that's trading cryptocurrency and Bitcoin is USI Tech. USI Tech has been trading in cryptocurrency and Forex for quite a while now. They've been very successful. They have consistent returns that have never deviated in their entire existence. And these type of automated bots actually strive in a volatile market where there's a lot of dips and big gains. So they actually pull their money out when things are going down, hold it, and then when it comes back up, they get back in and ride it back up. So that keeps them from being able to, riding it all the way down like your mutual fund does or some type of normal investment, which just rides the market up and down. This protects you. And because of that, they're actually able to get more gains than they could in any other market with cryptocurrency in general. So really, really cool. And we're going to watch a quick little video about them. All right, so before we get to the next slide and kind of talk about how we actually get involved with this company, I want to point out that a few days ago I actually ran into a guy who invested with this company quite a while ago. And before he did so, he was going to invest multiple millions of dollars, quite a bit of money. And before doing so and trusting a company that he doesn't know with that money, he actually hired 2 special forces guys that specialize in this stuff and had them do research on the company and make sure that they're legit. And they came back with all 5-star reviews. Look, this company is legit. They're doing what they say they're going to do. All the people seem to be good behind them. Regardless of what you see on the internet, this company is legit. And so I have even more faith in them today than I did a couple days ago. And I had quite a bit of faith because I can see consistent returns on every YouTube video that you find with USI Tech. People are getting the returns that they say they're going to provide, and it's happening. When I first got involved in cryptocurrency and Bitcoin months ago, I had somebody come up to me and recommend this, and I was like, I don't know, this sounds too good to be true. Sounds like a scam. I'm staying far away from that. And I came back months later and realized, wow, this guy's receiving exactly what the company promised, and I made a mistake by not investing then. So don't do that. And let's look at how they work. How it works is you buy one Bitcoin package. One Bitcoin package costs 50 euro, which is equivalent to about 60 USD or $80 in Canada. You must purchase in Bitcoin. So we can show you how to get Bitcoin. We showed you Coinbase earlier. Feel free to reach out to the person that showed you this video. But you must purchase in Bitcoin, and it pays out in Bitcoin. The Bitcoin package runs for 140 market days. Those are business days. So 6 months. At the end of that, you receive an average of 1% per day. Not even at the end. You actually earn this per day. You receive an average of 1% per day as return of capital. At the end, you get your full investment back plus 40%. What they've actually done consistently is the 0.075% to 1.25% every single day that they've been in existence. Now, one thing that's really neat about this is, that's a great return. You put in one Bitcoin, at the end of that, you have 1.4 Bitcoin. So not only are you increasing the number of Bitcoins you hold, but then who knows how high Bitcoin went up in that amount of time. So it really helps you compound the returns that you're getting and increase the number of Bitcoin you have. Another cool thing is you can actually reinvest this 1% you're earning each day. So as it's going, let's say you got one $60 package, you're reinvesting that 1% each day. At the end of that, you have two packages at the end of 60 days, basically, because then you're going to have a second package. And then at the end of another period of time, then you have 4 packages, you have 8 packages. So it compounds the number of packages you have. That's really amazing. Compounding is the key to most things in life. It creates a passive income and creates a lot of wealth very, very quickly. So this is just kind of a generic chart. Now, when you sit with the person that shared this video with you, they can actually pull up a calculator. You can actually pull up a calculator, and it will actually, you can set it up where, how much would it be if I put in $60 once a month, once a week, like whatever it is that you can afford. It allows for anybody to really get involved and have an idea of what they should expect when it pops out the other side. But just for the sake of time and an illustration, let's say you bought 25 packs. That would equal $1,425. After 1 year, if you rebought 100%, so you reinvested 100% of those returns every single day for that 1 year, at the end of that you have 146 packages. If that was worth $2,600, which is kind of silly at this point, that would be worth $8,176. Now the reality is Bitcoin's going to be over $10,000. Let's say it's only at 10 though. Granted, it's over 9,000 right now. Let's say it's only 10,000 in a year from now. You have $30,000 from a $1,400 investment. Now let's say 2 years, the same thing. That 146 now becomes 537 packages. That's just an example of that compounding. If again, value is $2,600, you got 30 grand from that initial investment. Granted, let's say Bitcoin's at 20,000, which is still another huge underestimate. That's $180,000 from a $1,425 investment. Obviously, the more you invest, the more that it's going to compound, the more money you're going to make. And this is a great opportunity, something I'm definitely invested in myself, quite a bit of money, over $10,000. And the next thing I'm going to show you is something I've also diversified in too. It's really important at this point in the video though, is that you remember about this company. The next thing I show you, I've noticed several people forget about this company at all or get confused or mix them up. This is USI Tech. So this is an automated trading bot. The next thing I'm going to show you is mining and how to get involved in Bitcoin mining. So keep that in mind when we get to the end and when you try to figure out, how you want to invest, because there's two opportunities here. And we always preach diversifying, and that's exactly what we do ourselves, regardless of which opportunity seems like the most profitable, which you'll see in a second. The other one is a more profitable proposition, but we want to make sure it's really, really clear and really important that you diversify. You never know what any of these things are going to do. Nothing's guaranteed. This is a whole new market. A lot of it's not regulated, so it's just important to really remember diversification is key to building a strong portfolio. And again, we're not giving any financial advice. This is just what we're doing personally and what we encourage you to look at yourself, and we'll help you get set up. The next group is BitClub Network. It's a mining pool, and we're going to talk about mining a little bit and what a mining pool is, and then we'll recap this presentation.
What is Bitcoin mining? Bitcoin operates as a peer-to-peer network. This means that everyone who uses Bitcoin is a tiny fraction of the bank of Bitcoin. But where do Bitcoins come from? With paper money, a government decides when to print and distribute money. Bitcoin doesn't have a central government. With Bitcoin, miners use special software to solve math problems and are issued a certain number of Bitcoins in exchange. This provides a smart way to issue the currency and also creates an incentive for more people to mine. And since miners are required to approve Bitcoin transactions, more miners means a more secure network. The Bitcoin network automatically changes the difficulty of the math problems, depending on how fast they're being solved. In the early days, Bitcoin miners solved these math problems with the processors in their computers. Soon, miners discovered that graphics cards used for gaming were much better suited to this kind of math. Graphics cards are faster, but they use more electricity and generate a lot of heat. The first commercial Bitcoin mining products included chips that were reprogrammed for mining Bitcoin. These chips were faster, but still power hungry. ASIC, or Application-Specific Integrated Circuit chips, are designed specifically for Bitcoin mining. ASIC technology has made Bitcoin mining even faster while using less power. As the popularity of Bitcoin increases, more miners join the network, making it more difficult for individuals to solve the math problems. To overcome this, miners have developed a way to work together in pools. Pools of miners find solutions faster than their individual members, and each miner is rewarded proportionate to the amount of work he or she provides. Mining is an important and integral part of Bitcoin that ensures fairness while keeping the Bitcoin network stable, safe, and secure.
Alright, so that's Bitcoin mining. So as you see here, Bitcoin mining difficulty is constantly increasing. So my friend Corey and I started researching equipment. We wanted to buy equipment, we wanted to set it up in a warehouse somewhere and start mining Bitcoin. We were even playing with the idea of powering it with solar panels. We're here in Florida. Florida's hot. This equipment needs to stay cool and burns a lot of electricity if we're going to be pumping the AC all day. So we wanted to find a way to use solar panels to maybe power the thing, and we're all excited and did all of the research. We're going to buy this machine, we're going to set up this way, this is how it's going to work, and then we couldn't find the equipment. You can't buy the newest equipment unless you have hundreds of thousands of dollars to invest. The companies won't even talk to you. And most of the machines are pre-ordered in advance. In fact, all of them are. So unless you want to wait a year for a piece of equipment, you're not going to get the newest equipment. Now you can buy used equipment or outdated equipment, but the reality is because of this difficulty, you're going to earn a lot less Bitcoin, if any at all. So it's very important to realize that and remember that. So partnering with BitClub Network, they have a running contract with all of the people that produce this equipment, where they're buying up equipment a year in advance, and the more we pull our money together to buy into BitClub, the faster they can expand, grow the size of their pool, and get more equipment. So it's the beauty of BitClub Network. The only ones doing it quite like this. Let's recap the transaction fees and block reward, which is the Bitcoin that's earned by those miners. So in the beginning, there was a lot of rewards. You got a lot of Bitcoin for mining Bitcoin. So the reward was very high, and built into the algorithm, it drops in half by every 4 years. So every 4 years, the block reward, the number of Bitcoin that's mined per block, is cut in half. So in the beginning, they had it really high because there was no inherent value to Bitcoin. There was no value. It was people believing in the technology, and so they were doing what they needed to mine the Bitcoin. But again, every 4 years this drops. So this just dropped down right here. So we're actually right here in this leg right here. We're in the beginning of this. And in 4 years, in the middle of 2020, it's going to drop another get cut in half one more time. So as we spoke about before, there will never be more than 21 million coins. That date, it looks like sometime in 2140. So a long time from now is when the last Bitcoin will be mined. But because of this value constantly dropping, there's going to be less reward for these miners that are spending this money for the equipment. So there's also a thing called transaction fees. This is a fee that you pay when you send Bitcoin. So over time, the transaction fees will increase to reward those miners for verifying transactions and keeping the network secure, and replacing that block reward that people are earning by mining Bitcoin. BitClub Network has been around for 3 years. They haven't always been public where anyone can join it. I believe they opened that about a year ago. Maybe a little bit more than that now. They mined 60,000 Bitcoins in this 3 years. They've created over 100 millionaires. Now this number, when you see the next chart, is actually kind of low, and again, it's because they weren't always public. And they got over 300,000 members. This is blockchain.info. You can go there now. You could pause this video and go there if you'd like. This is a website that pretty much allows, in the past we had to, know code and how to be a developer and all this stuff to actually access the blockchain, because it was open source, but there was no real application or anything that allowed it in a very easy to see visual format. Blockchain Info changed that. So Blockchain Info is a website you can go to. You can see the block, what block is being mined. You can track your transaction. You can see the hash rate, which is the speed in which Bitcoin is mined. You can see all of these things on this website. Very, very useful website that anybody can go to. You'll see that if you Google Bitcoin mining, there's all kinds of companies that show up. Now, if they're not in this list, they're either lying or they've partnered with somebody else, or something's not right. So it's important that you look for this. And if we zoom in here, we have BitClub Network. So this day, numbers constantly changing. This day, BitClub was mining 4.5% of all of Bitcoin. This was in the top 10 of mining pools in the world. Now, they are actually the biggest that you can join, and they run the equipment for you, which is different. Most of these mining pools are either closed where we can't join them, or they require you to have your own equipment and you point your server to their mining pool, and that's how that works. Individuals mining just isn't happening anymore. Everybody is joining the pools just like we saw in the video. Many of these pools are owned or related to Bitmain in some way. Bitmain is the manufacturer of one of those equipments. So again, they're going to dominate the market because they're the ones producing the equipment. The BitClub Network is buying up everything they can. Between now and the end of the year. So we're in November right now. November 2017, between now and the end of the year, they're expecting to quadruple their hash rate, or the speed in which they're earning Bitcoin, and that should move them up a few spots here. And they're constantly looking for opportunities to buy more equipment, and the more people that join the network, the larger their buying power is to get more equipment, so they can start moving up this ladder in the larger mining pools. So this video is... Sorry about that. Okay, so this is in Iceland. So they have facilities all over the world. Most of them are in Iceland. Iceland has free energy cost as well as free cooling because they're in Iceland. And so, it keeps the equipment cooler, takes care of the energy cost, which is a huge expense to us miners. You can actually tour this facility. So you can go to Iceland, you can walk these very halls, which is really important to me. I wanted to make sure that I could see the equipment, feel it. I'm actually going to be touring there in January of 2018. It's amazing. You can actually request your equipment. So they'll send the equipment to you if you pay a shipping charge, and they'll ship you a machine. Probably won't be the newest one, but they will ship you a machine just to prove that they are open, they're legit, and I love their openness. When you go tour the facility, it's really kind of neat. They actually, I know people now that have been there. You go meet them in a parking lot. They pick you up in a bus, and they collect all of your digital devices. They take your cell phone, they take all of your electronics, and then they take you to a facility that's almost like a military base. You go through gates and security. You go into the facility, and you tour the place. But they do that to keep hackers away, protect their address and their physical location of where they are. All of these things to protect our investment as BitClub members, which is really, really cool. I actually kind of like that. Okay, so these are BitClub ATMs. So these ATMs are going in internationally. So they accept cash in and spit out Bitcoin, or you can put in Bitcoin and it'll spit out cash. So it's pretty neat. And it's just one of the ways that they're diversifying and helping its members hold value and find multiple resources and income opportunities for us as BitClub members. We're part of this. When we join BitClub, we are part of BitClub. We own this company. CoinPay. So CoinPay is their point of service system. Know this website's actually down, so don't bother going there. They are launching CoinPay in December 3rd. And that will be when their official launch date is. They'll be launching in Japan and Korea first, and then they'll be slowly, throughout the rest of the year, rolling out CoinPay all across the world. Now, CoinPay is a point-of-service system. So right now, with a credit card or debit card, you go to a store or a restaurant. When you use your credit card or debit card, that business owner is paying a 3.5% transaction fee on average, and they don't get that money until a month later, which can be huge for a business. Now, with CoinPay, they're going to allow people to accept Bitcoin, pay a lower transaction fee, like 1%, so lower than what they're used to paying. They will get paid that same day in Bitcoin or their national currency. And they can choose any kind of percentages there in between, which is just amazing. This is like the next Visa before Visa existed. So I can't drive home enough how much this thing right here could end up being more profitable than what the mining is alone. This idea that they have here and what they're coming out with, that they're creating a sales force in us BitClub members. We get shares of their company. We get shares of this company by buying the largest pool. The founders pool is what they call it, which we'll show you in a second. And we get shares of this company at this point. Now they are slowly taking that away, so over time that number is going to drop lower and lower. I got 2,000 coins from my founders pool. I believe they have 1,000 coins they give away now. And on top of that, so even if you don't have one of those CoinPay tokens, if you go to a business and you help them set up a CoinPay point of service system, you're actually rewarded a percent of that transaction fee for the life of that contract with that business owner. So you're constantly be rewarded for every time they accept Bitcoin. So it instantly creates an international sales force that is going to raise awareness about Bitcoin, drive Bitcoin price up, which also increases our pockets as we're earning Bitcoin. And it's, makes sense and, brings awareness about it. It's just all around, it's beautiful. It's good for the business. It's good for the owner. It's good for us as BitClub members. It's good for consumers. It's an amazing product. And I look forward to be bringing this to the businesses that I visit on a regular basis. All right, so how do you join? So you pay a one-time $99 membership fee. Don't forget about this fee. You have to pay it one time. It's not once a year. It's not once a month. It's not once a week. It's one time, and that's it. And then you're part of the club. Then you choose your mining pool. They do GPU mining, but this is Bitcoin mining. We're not going to talk about the GPU mining in this video, but feel free to reach out to the person that shared this video with you. They can explain what that means and how to get involved with that if you'd like. But how this works is you choose a pool. So you choose pool 1. It costs $500. You have 1,000 days of mining. So there's a 30-day wait before that mining begins. Just keep that in mind. So you have 30 days before your mining begins, and then you have 1,000 days from that point forward that will be, earning you revenue every single day. Every single day you will earn Bitcoin starting day 1. It'll be, a small piece that will slowly add up over time, and you can pool. So you'll see these commissions versus repurchases down here. So it used to depend on which pool you joined, what these were. Now recently, just in the last week, they've actually gotten rid of this completely. You can pull out 100% commissions now, so you don't have to wait, months to start receiving money. You can start pulling out right away if you want. Now, I don't necessarily recommend that because the benefit of that compounding and be able to reinvest is huge, and that's where you're going to see big numbers. We're going to show that to you in just a second. So Founders Pool, if you get this one, you get a share of each of those. And this founder bonus is those CoinPay tokens that I was talking about. So you actually get tokens or any kind of special that they're offering at the given time. That's very rewarding. They actually had a token that they were putting out, that Club Coin. When I got it, it was worth less than $1. Now it's worth over $6 a coin, and I got 50 of them just for joining this founders pool. So it's it's very easy that you could almost reimburse this full cost just in this bonus that they're giving you over a period of time. Now let's get into what this looks like, right? So how does this work? All right, so let's say you bought one $3,500 pool. So let's say you have bought one share of equipment. Let's say this is one machine, and you paid your $99 membership fee and your $3,500. Now what did this mining share? What did this piece of equipment do in the past 12 months? This is like the past 12 months. It's a little outdated for those that are watching it further in the future. We'll be updating this regularly. One share will earn this much Bitcoin. This is what it earned each month. So you can see it's constantly changing, goes up and down, and that equals an average of 0.1326 Bitcoin, or 13% of a Bitcoin every month is what it earned on average for 12 months. Now, if we scroll down here, wrong button. Now remember, mining doesn't start for the first 30 days. This chart is going to be based on Bitcoin reaching $20,000 by 2020, which is super conservative, especially when you look at right now on this chart. Oops. Okay, so we got August here, November, that's this month right now. We're at over $9,000 and we had $11,000 this month. This has Bitcoin at $5,000. So that's super conservative. We've also lowered that average 13% to 10%. We are watching it, and it looks like the last couple of months have been 10%. We can't take a a full years of credibility there. I mean, it would actually be higher than this, but we're trying to stay as conservative as possible. And even being conservative, these numbers get huge. So let's say you bought your 1 share of equipment. That first month, you're in 0.10 Bitcoin, 0.10 or 0.1 Bitcoin. And because of the ability to reinvest, so this is us reinvesting 100% for that first year and 4 months. So that's what this is here. So we're reinvesting 100%, all of it. Now you don't have to do this, but this is our plan and the way that we're going to be setting this up so that we can compound it as best we can. So the next month you have more machines working for you, because once you hit 2.5%, once you've earned 2.5% of your pool that you're in, it'll purchase you a partial share. So you have a part of a machine with somebody else. And if I was mining with my own equipment, let's say I had 1 machine, I'd have to mine for a certain period of time before I saved up enough where I could buy a second machine. Where this is constantly earning you new partial shares in the equipment, so it continues and grows and grows and grows faster than it would if we were on our own, running our own machines. It's just the buying power of pooling our money together. So the next month you got 0.11, 0.12, 0.14, 0.16. So this is what Bitcoin you're earning because of this compounding the number of shares you have. Between 6 months and 7 months there, or 1, 2, 3, 4, between 5 and 6 months, you have 2 machines. So you got 2 full machines working for you. And it just keeps compounding and keep growing. Based on Bitcoin value over here, which is super low and conservative, this is how much you're earning a month with that reinvestment. Same to $8,000 here, $9,743. So we're going to be earning this a lot quicker than what this graph shows, as long as this stays the same. So again, we're not offering any financial advice, and we're just doing our best we can to predict what this number is going to be. But even if this was at 3%, it's a substantial return over that initial investment. All right, so we keep going. After a year and a half, year and 4 months, we start pulling out 50%. So that's what we're doing here. So we're not necessarily reinvesting minimums, but we're reinvesting because now you can pull out everything you want if you want. You can pull out 100% if you wanted. But we're going to reinvest 50%, and we're going to start pulling out 50% in profit and start earning an income from it. So after that year and a half, year and 4 months, this is what we're pulling out every month. That's enough to live on. That's enough to kind of, maybe I don't want to work anymore. Maybe I'll just keep growing, and it'll keep growing and building and building value. This number is actually off. I don't know what's going on there. I'll have to check on that later. That number should actually be higher than that. But as it's growing, it's compounding. Your machines are increasing on a daily basis. Even with you pulling out 50%, they're still compounding and growing. The number of Bitcoin you're earning is crazy. It just keeps compounding and growing. And as we continue to scroll down here, at the end of this, so at the end of our first shares fallen off, so at the end of 3 years, mid-January 2020 or mid-2020, we have 125 Bitcoin we've earned. 73 of it is we've pulled out over here, so that's about 73 Bitcoin worth, pulling out 50%. If 1 Bitcoin is worth $20,000 in 3 years, we have 1.469 million. This is over $1 million, almost $1.5 million. Now, this number could be significantly higher. If this number is higher, if this number is higher, it could be significantly higher. Let's say this was really low. Let's say this is 3%. You're going to see a huge difference there and here. But no matter how you plug in the numbers, and we've done all the different numbers, you are going to be making a significant return on your investment. There's no question about it. You're buying the golden goose when you buy this machine, when you buy these contracts. And they're already talking about possibly pulling some of these pools and the founders pool and some of these contracts away just to keep this value high for us members that are already in it, so that we continue to meet this level. And so there is a little bit of a time thing with all of this. You want to make sure you invest as soon as you can afford to, because the quicker you're in it, the more you know you're going to get a share or get a pool. And then the other thing is this halving event. So in July 2020, I talked about how Bitcoin drops every 4 years. About July 2020, the amount of Bitcoin that's earned per day is going to drop in half. And so, or per week, per mine, per block, like all of it, that's going to drop in half. So the earnings is going to drop in half. Significant earnings, if you get in now and get in soon, it's still, it's not going to affect you that much based on, the amount of money that's coming in. But we want to get as much as we can. And to get this thing building as quickly as possible, we want to get in as soon as possible. Now, what I've personally done, and my buddy Corey and quite a few other people that we've talked about, is we've bought multiple of these packages. So you could buy the founders pool, and that's great. And you do what you can afford to do. Make sure you diversify. You want to look at USI a little bit before you really consider putting more into this. But if you let's say you bought 3 of these machines, and you have like $3,500 a machine, right? So if you got 3 of those worth, we can actually show you how you can layer it in such a way that instead of this 1.4 million, like based on these same numbers, we could show you how you can make 12 million. Now, not 3 times this, but actually 12 million. We can compound it even more and show you a strategy that we've come up with that can grow that faster. So the more you put in, the faster it's going to grow and the faster you're going to hit that number. Basically, like putting in more money, obviously, you're buying more machines and you're speeding up this whole compounding process. So you're jumping ahead. Like it's earning very little relatively in the beginning, where if you're able to put in a larger initial investment, you have more machines working for you and you're compounding in way quicker fashion. And again, all doing that before that halving event that's July 2020. So that is the presentation. So we are crypto consultants. We are a firm that's just educating people about cryptocurrency. If you get nothing else out of this presentation, please buy Bitcoin. Trading can be scary, so be careful if you're going to get into trading. It can be appetizing because your returns can be significant. I told you about my buddy, 10 grand to 700,000. Now, did he hold on to that 700,000? He did not. He kept trading with it and he actually lost some of that value. Now, so trading can be risky. These are a couple of things that we're doing to diversify that risk while still trading a little bit, but putting the majority of our money in USI Tech and BitClub. So that's it for this video. Please reach back out to the person that shared this video with you. They are on our team. They're part of Crypto Consultants, and ask them questions that you may have written down throughout the video. If you want to get involved, they'll have step-by-step instructions on what to do and how to make the move, so to speak, and hold your hand along the way. We do regular education sessions. There's a Facebook group. We have a website. So there's several resources that we're going to be creating as this thing moves on. We're relatively new at being a consulting group. But over time, we're going to expand and grow. We're growing at a rapid rate. We're talking to politicians. We're talking to lobbyists, ex-directors of large museums. We have whole groups of people that we're talking to at a time. And it's growing at a rapid rate, and the resources that are coming in are going to allow us to expand at a very quick rate. We're going to be having an office soon. We're hiring staff. This thing is amazing. It's crazy. We want to share this with you. We want to help people that are close to us, our friends, our family, participate in the largest transfer of wealth the world has ever seen. Thank you for your time. I am Travis Moorhead, and I look forward to seeing you on the other side of the Bitcoin train. Have a good day.